Okay, so here we have this pretty red book with this gold title on the front. It's The Little Lame Prince, The Adventures of a Brownie, and Poor Prin by Miss Mullock. So this is 3 stories in here. We can see the 3 characters here. This is The Little Lame Prince, and then the Brownie, and then the dog Prin, all shown on the cover here. And then we've got the title on the spine as well. We can see that with the author's name below it, and then the publishing house at the very base of the spine, which is Lippincott. And there's no decorations on the back, just this solid red cloth cover. So let's go ahead and open it up. We can see these end papers here show this really beautiful design of this sort of magical woman at a loom, it looks like, or a spinning wheel. And here's the brief title page, and then some other books. You can see it says per volume at the bottom, $1.50. And here's the full title page. We've got the frontispiece there on the left too, showing the Little Lame Prince. It says, Prince Dolor made a snatch at the topmost twig of the tallest tree. And you can see him flying there over the land on his traveling cloak. So the title page here, we can see in these red letters, it says, The Little Lame Prince, The Adventures of a Brownie, Poor Prin by Miss Mullock, author of John Halifax Gentleman, with illustrations by Maria L. Kirk. We've got the image from the publishing house there. And then we can see the copyright for the illustrations is 1918, which is when this edition would have come out. It looks like it was printed in the USA. This book originally came out in 1875. And then we have a table of illustrations as well here. And it starts with this first story called The Little Lame Prince. And we can see chapter 1. Yes, he was the most beautiful prince that ever was born. Of course, being a prince, people said this, but it was true besides. When he looked at the candle, his eyes had an expression of earnest inquiry, quite startling in a newborn baby. His nose, there was not much of it certainly, but what there was seemed an aquiline shape. His complexion was a charming, healthy purple. He was round and fat, straight-limbed and long. In fact, a splendid baby, and everybody was exceedingly proud of him, especially his father and mother, the king and queen of No Man's Land, who had waited for him during their happy reign of 10 years, now made happier than ever, to themselves and their subjects, by the appearance of a son and heir. And then it starts to say, the only person who was not quite happy was the king's brother, the heir presumptive. So this initial story, The Little Lame Prince, it's about a prince who's born, and eventually his legs are damaged, and he can't walk, which is why he's called lame. So it says she stretched herself on tiptoe, and then it's showing this woman all in gray kissing the prince there, who's being held under this canopy. It's a really cool looking cloud umbrella. And so this woman in gray is sort of like a magical sort of fairy godmother type who comes to the prince and protects him at regular times. And anyway, so he is, his legs are broken, and he's eventually locked away in this tower, and his uncle takes over the kingdom. Everybody was very kind to the poor little prince. I think people generally are kind to motherless children, whether princes or peasants. He had a magnificent nursery and a regular suite of attendants, and was treated with the greatest respect and state. Nobody was allowed to talk to him in silly baby language, or dandle him, or above all to kiss him, though perhaps some people did it surreptitiously. So yeah, he's locked away in this tower, and he's meant to be kept there sort of all of his life, taken care of by the person who originally dropped him and damaged his legs. And here we can see him in the tower here, sort of more grown up. It says, her hair was gray and her dress was gray, and there was a gray shadow over her. So this is the woman in gray there coming to visit Prince Dolor in the tower. And you can see he's surrounded by all the books that he's been reading in there. And she provides him with something called a traveling cloak, which is a magic cloak, sort of like a magic carpet that he can use to travel outside of the tower and fly to all these different places and see the kingdom. So that allows him to sort of learn about things, even though he's stuck in this tower. And also, the author's full name for this was, even though it was Miss Mullock printed in here, her full name was Dinah Maria Mullock Craik. And so if you look her up online or something like that, you'll probably find her name under Dinah Craik. Here's another illustration we can see here of the little lame prince and a magpie looking into this hole in the ceiling. It says the prince gazed eagerly down into a large room. And we can see here it says the prince gazed eagerly down into a large room, the largest room he had ever beheld, with furniture and hangings grander than anything he could ever imagined. A stray sunbeam, coming through a crevice of the darkened windows, struck across the carpet, and it was the loveliest carpet ever woven, just like a bed of flowers to walk over, only nobody walked over it, the room being perfectly empty and silent. "Where is the king?" asked the puzzled boy. And so this is him out on his traveling cloak, sort of looking at the kingdom. And it's just a cool sort of fairy tale, but once it ends, there's another story that's told about the various adventures of this little fairy character called a brownie, who's sort of like a house sprite or a house spirit. And you can see this image of him on the right here. It says, Brownie screwed up his little old face and turned up his button of a nose and gave a long whistle. You might not believe it, seeing he lived in a coal cellar, but really he liked tidiness and always played his pranks upon disorderly or slovenly folk. And you can see him playing a prank here by dancing on this tablecloth. And he's leaving these little footprints here. You can see his mischievous face. And down here, a cat is totally unaware, sleeping by the fire. All right. And interesting thing about this, going back to the first story, the Little Lame Prince, L. Frank Baum, the author of The Wizard of Oz, he criticized that story as being too pitiful. Because it involved a main character with a disability. But I think most people nowadays would recognize that it's important to tell children's stories about all types of people, and that those kind of stories are more helpful than hurtful. So I think that's an instance where I disagree with Baum on what he said. This is showing the brownie again riding on this horse here. And in this story, he takes this horse out for a ride in the middle of the night in order to sort of play a prank on somebody who is not being nice. And here he is seen ice skating with these children. And you can see him there. And most, I guess all of these stories have sort of moral lessons that they're trying to teach children, but they're also just entertaining to read as well. This one is the saddest of all the stories here. It's about, it says it's a true story too, called Poor Prin, and it's about a dog that this woman had as a child, and how the dog ends up dying in sort of a sad way. But it says, "Who was Prin?" cried the eager voice of Rose's child mistress, always ready to hear anything about animals and having an unlimited capacity of maternal tenderness over all young and helpless things. Prin was my dear dog that I had when I was a little girl about as old as you. Struck by the unwanted pathos of the tone, I turned round and saw that Mrs. Jane's eyes were full of tears. What sort of a dog was he? So the story is really sad, but it's the moral of it is supposed to be that it's like sometimes sad things are good. And here's those end papers as well, again on the back here, showing that spinning wheel, and I just really like those. All right, so that's the end of that story. If you like the video, feel free to give us a like or a comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for more stuff coming. And I'm going to try a few different types of videos coming up soon too. Might try doing 2 books in one video as well. So, all right. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.